going to start the video that way. Let's leave that in. Welcome to Brandex Reviews. This is the part 2 of the Avengers Infinity War review. This is with spoilers, so no crying if we spoil a film, when we spoil a film.
It's like, stop watching, there are spoilers, we're not joking. Yeah. Spoilers, okay.
Sling your hook.
Right, let's go.
Yo, right, okay, so there's a lot of people die in this film. And don't get me wrong, we know that they're going to be back, because how did you... Well, let's put it this way.
Let's just say a lot of people in half the universe kind of way, if you're following the Infinity Stones kind of plot line. You know what's going on there.
Well, you put it brilliantly, because basically at the end, Thanos does snap his fingers, half the universe dies, including at least half of your main characters in this.
Like I say, more so, because they seem to be cutting it straight back to like the classic Avengers team.
Because they're still alive, yeah. Thor, Cap, Iron Man, and Hulk.
Yeah, which is kind of why I'm thinking, like, you know, maybe they're going to be wrapping them up with the next like film as their like send-off, if you... I'm not saying they're going to be killing them all off or something, but this is their last great fight, and you may still see them in their own things, but
all the Guardians, apart from Rocket Raccoon and maybe Nebula, if you count her as a Guardian, are all dead. So how did you describe what Guardians of the Galaxy 3 might be?
Basically the Rocket Raccoon show.
Yeah,
now.
Pretty much.
But yeah, I mean, stuff like Doctor Strange, Spider-Man...
Gone. That was pretty harsh when Spider-Man's died. There's a bit more of an extended death than the rest of them, I think, because the filmmakers wanted you to really feel he's like saying to Iron Man you don't want to die and stuff,
and plus they have like a mentor-student, almost surrogate father-son thing going on.
Yeah, more so than they did in the others.
But like I said, I mean, everybody seems to have some kind of like pathos scenes and like something to really work with. I mean, even Rocket Raccoon and Thor, because Thor's like, I mean, he's basically being Thor, like, everything's fine. It's like, my brother is dead. My father is dead. I had to kill my half-sister. She's dead. She's still got a mother out there, right? No, she's dead as well, and half my people are dead.
My best friend got stabbed in the heart.
Yeah, it's like... Like, universe has shat on Thor at the moment.
Yeah. I did like the bit with Stormbreaker where he builds his new hammer as well, because it was... What's the name of the actor, the little dwarf guy? Yeah, he's in, like, Game of Thrones. What the hell's his name? He was in X-Men Days of Future Past, it's Trask. I can never remember the actor's name.
Damn it, I'm completely... minds have gone black.
Non-name remembering mofo. Same as me.
Are we sure it wasn't Channing Tatum?
No, that was another thing. But no, he was in this, and he plays this like giant guy that helps Thor.
Peter
Dinklage, yeah. To help him forge. He wasn't Anthony Daniels. The R2-D2.
Yeah.
But no, it helps him forge a new Stormbreaker, basically. I love the fact that Groot supplies the handle for the hammer as well. That was a really nice touch as well. But
yeah, it's supposed to be a new godly weapon to replace his hammer.
Yeah.
Like, fit for a king and capable of opening the Bifrost.
Forged in the heart of a dying star as well.
Because they do kind of, basically, so you're not swamped with all the characters all the time. They do kind of break them off into a number of groups. You've got the renegade Avengers, if you like, mostly the Captain America team, that are on Earth who are trying to protect the Vision and the Mind Stone.
And they go to Wakanda. And there's a big fight there. And that's basically where the last fight takes place for the last stone that Thanos needs, which is the Mind Stone. And I tell you what was really good as well. I said this when we were talking before. I like the fact that when Thanos is using the Infinity Stones, because I was concerned about this, that he was just going to be swinging it around and it was just going to be, right, I've got all these things and I'm going to hit you and you're just going to fall down. He actually uses it in a practical sense. So he'll, like, say, for example, where Star-Lord has a gun pointed and he pulls a trigger and bubbles come out because Thanos is using the Reality Stone to change the reality of what his weapon can do. And things like when he uses the Time Stone to undo something that would have otherwise fucked him over, he just takes a Time Stone and does the thing that Doctor Strange does where he turns time backwards. So it was nice to see him use it in a practical sense, because it could have just been a big, like, I've just got this big heavy thing and I'm just hitting everybody with it.
I mean, he does that occasionally just to show how rawly powerful this guy is when he, like, brings down basically a moon to hit Iron Man with.
Which I took was using the Power Stone, I would imagine. And, so... really good depiction of a really great concept that when you read the comic series, you have expectations, because the comics are quite intelligently put together and it translated quite well in the movie. It wasn't as it was in the comics, where basically it's a big showdown on this kind of like giant Mount Olympus thing. Kind of what you saw in the scene in Age of Ultron where Tony Stark has the vision of the future and it's like on that sort of Mount Olympus thing.
Yeah.
There's none of that in this because that's kind of how it plays out in the comics. This is a bit more practical. It's like here and there, pretty much as you've seen in the trailer. But it's a bit like Empire Strikes Back in a lot of ways, isn't it? It's got lots of little battles with like different factions.
Yeah, so I say you've got the Wakanda stuff going on. You've got Iron Man, Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, and part of the Guardians team on Titan, where Thanos comes from, this basically dead world. And you've got the rest of the Guardians, like Groot and Rocket Raccoon, with Thor, who's going to make his axe like Stormbreaker. We've got Peter Dinklage.
And then there's some stuff on Earth as well, like in various different places. There's no Hulk really in this one. He turns into Hulk.
He's the Incredible Sulk. Yeah. No, I'm not doing it. I'm not fighting anybody.
I think it was just because if they have the Hulk, it's like, you know, a bit more likely to win the battle, really, because there's a lot of using brute force in this to try to just punch each other out, and not just that, but for example, the bit where again, like the fact that it wasn't just a punch fest, like we're all heavy hitters and we're just going to punch each other. It was like little things like this specific power, like Mantis. Obviously, if she touches somebody, she can like put them to sleep, for example. They use that in this, and she jumps on Thanos, and they kind of put him into a sort of sleeping state.
Yeah, well, they're trying to pull the gauntlet off his hand.
They got pretty close as well on that one.
Yeah, but unfortunately, Quill lost it because he finds out something about Gamora, which is a bit shit.
Now, one of the things we were saying in the last video, I didn't want to say because of spoilers. The big surprise for me, I say it's a big surprise, only a little thing really, but Red Skull is in this briefly, which I really like.
He's the guardian of the
Minds, the Soul Gem.
The Soul Gem, that's it.
Yeah. So the point of the Soul Gem is it's in like a well, not a well, but there's like a
You've
drop.
You've got to sacrifice something to get it, basically.
Yeah. So if you throw somebody off this, there's like an altar of some kind, isn't there? And obviously you have to sacrifice something that you love, and he throws his daughter Gamora off, and then she dies for the rest of the film anyway.
Yeah, like I say, whether that's going to be undone when they fix things, I don't know.
Well, it is because they've said, James Gunn, the director of Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2, has said that in the third one he wants Gamora to be more of the main character in this. I think it's just because, not SJW stuff, but just basically because I think now they realise that female lead movies like Hunger Games and sort of Star Wars films, stuff like that, and Wonder Woman have been successful, and rightly so. And if they're good and entertaining, which they have been, go with Marvel, because they haven't really done that yet. So, point is, they've said that they're going to do it with her. So they're going to bring these characters back, we know that.
But yeah, it's quite good because it's not... Because, I mean, we had this discussion going into it like, well, they were going to have this in 2 parts. Is this still going to be in 2 parts? Or is this going to be an entire story? Is this going to be the end of Thanos and then moving into the Skrulls? Or, we were kind of having this discussion. And it does kind of keep you guessing because it doesn't telegraph that this is going to go the way you think it is.
Half the universe dies. Thanos looks at the sort of sunset, realises that his mission is complete. His version of balance to the universe is restored. He's like smiling, and the film just ends, and that is really grim. So for this film, that everybody's dead now, whatever they do in future, it's a pretty hard, pretty heavy ending, really. Even when you know that they're going to come back, or at least most of them are going to come back.
Yeah, I mean, Thanos wins. It even says at the end, after the credits, Thanos will return.
Yeah.
Not the Avengers will return.
Yeah. So we'll see. And then there's a post-credit scene as well, which we're going to talk about in the next video. So we've got like 1 minute left on this. So wrapping up, really happy.
Yeah, great film, great scenes. Very happy all the way through.
Top tier Marvel movie for me. I don't really have a favourite. If I had a favourite, it'd probably be Winter Soldier, to be fair, because that's just generally such a great film.
And like I say, Josh Brolin gets some good scenes. To say he's a big CGI guy, he doesn't just look like, I'm a big CGI guy, I smashy all the time.
Yeah.
You get quite a bit of emotion, quite a bit of character.
Yeah.
They don't go into too much in his background, but you understand who he is, why he's doing what he's doing. You do get the feeling that as fucked up as your relationship with Gamora is, it does tear him up inside to throw her off the cliff.
Yeah, and you feel that as well.
And it's even empathetic enough to recognise that in other people, because he's going to like Scarlet Witch, is like, I feel your pain, you know, I've been through shit as well, but unfortunately your sacrifices are all for nothing, and then rewinds time, it's like, shit.
Yeah, exactly. So, I think that was the thing as well, because part of when he sacrifices Gamora, it'll only work if he is sacrificing something that he loves, so there is some humanity to him to a certain degree. He didn't want her to die, because if it meant nothing to him, then it's not a sacrifice. He wouldn't have had the stone. That was the point of it. So you can understand where he's coming from.
Like in his head, maybe he isn't the good guy, but he is doing what needs to be done. You know, as horrible as it is.
Yeah. So, question of whether this film is hyped up. It's only hyped up because the concept of it has been, you know, weaved throughout the movies. It's not like the trailer's been on all the time and there's posters everywhere. That kind of hype. It's just hype because people wanted to see it. And to me, it delivered.
I certainly think so as well.
I had high expectations as well. Because usually you'll say, well, if you didn't like it, it's because you had high expectations. I didn't have any higher expectations. I couldn't have had higher expectations. And I say it met that. So
I certainly didn't come out feeling disappointed or let down in any way. So
yeah. Cool. We'll leave there for part 2. Part 3, which we'll get up shortly after this video, is we're going to talk about the post-credit scene and some of the stuff going forward and where this might lead in future and what we know already. So we'll leave there for part 2 and say see you.
Go watch it, for God's sake.
Exactly.